We are live.
Home. We are live on all the places. So that means we're also up on YouTube, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So if you're not in the Discord, then hopefully you'll listen on the YouTubes. And yeah, so this is the kickoff party for the new UI of LeoFinance, aka Project Blank, which I don't even know if we need to use that name anymore because Project Blank is LeoFinance. May 1st.
Surprise.
Surprise. We're kicking off the launch party here, and we're going to try and break all the things. At least that's the cat's goal. We'll have Cal kind of give us an official announcement with all the new features that came with us going live today, May 1st, 2023. It is what should be a big moment in the history of the LeoFinance universe. So, like I said, ask your
One
whens and
small step for
soons.
Leo.
Yes.
One giant leap for Leo kind.
There you go. So yeah, chat it up in Leo TV chat or in the YouTube chat. And with that said, Mr. Cal, tell us about all the new things.
Yeah. I'm just putting out a quick announcement and then I will
Yes, get all the
start going
links
through my
out.
rant.
Announcement post with the YouTube link and all the things. I know that I went to LeoFinance about an hour ago to try and long form blog, and I was taken to the new UI and said, crap, the cat needs to now change his ways when it comes to long form and post through the new UI. I was hybriding it and doing threads to the new UI and long form posts to the old UI. So those days are now gone. And apparently we can teach new tricks to old cats.
I can honestly say that I've been waiting for this for at least 6 months. Ever since Carl told us that Project Blank was a go, because I mean he's been planning this for a year or maybe a little bit more, but around 6 months ago he said, okay, it's a thing and we have a countdown.
Indeed, indeed. And speaking of that, all the people that have been around for it, and it's funny because this is, a random launch party show. Usually we do the AMA tomorrow. We decided to kind of push that up today so we can go live with the launch. And I just want to give a shout out to like all the people that have been around, for the journey. I see a lot of names in the Discord right now, like Morty, Neilion, obviously, you know, the four of us that are on this call, but plenty of other people, John Olson and all the new names too. Like, and I see, some more familiar names, but it's just cool. Especially like I'd say like half the room almost is names that I don't usually see. And there's obviously names that I see here and there. So it's pretty cool. Tokenized society. That's, something that's been around for quite some time. So it's awesome that you've been with us for this journey. It's awesome that we are officially live with the new UI, and it's going to be exciting times to see how this grows and how we can grow it. And we'll talk more about the initiatives that we're helping to grow Leo Finance. Especially on the new UI. So, with that said, the announcement's out from Mr. Cal. So I will also open YouTube and monitor comments there. And I think we're good to let Cal take it away.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. And I think this is a big day for all of us. We've been waiting for it for when was Project Blank first like talked about? I think it was probably about two years ago, roughly.
Wow, that long, huh?
August,
Yeah.
August 2020.
Took you a while.
Wow. So pulling up on 3 years. Wow. Yeah. So there you go. 3 years of 3 years of talking about it, then designing it, and then redesigning it and considering how to make it scalable. And I think if you guys have followed along for the journey, we've looked at all sorts of things and ways to make it work. Originally it was thought that we were going to do something with custom JSONs to do microblogging. And we built a model for that, tested it, and it didn't work the way we wanted it to. So then we moved on to using comments, and that has been working really well. And if you guys were here for day one of, when it was just leofinance.io/threads on the old UI, then you remember how buggy it was.
We need to take a quick pause because I need a link for a thread storm for this UI launch.
I put it in the
Yes.
here, put it in the announcements. I'll drop it.
Yes,
Yeah.
drop it in the Leo TV chat as well.
There you go.
All right. I'm going to jump in this thread storm with everyone else as you continue, and let's multitask, folks. Thread it up.
And then there's all the other links too.
Threaded.
So yeah, we started with custom JSONs and then didn't really like it. Didn't think it would be scalable in the way that we wanted it to be. And also a big reason why we switched was because doing comments on chain, I think, has a pretty huge impact for Hive in the long run. When we take this thing to 100,000 monthly active users and beyond, you can imagine the resource credits that are going to be needed to do all of these comments on chain, which, every thread is a comment on chain. And then, when you start looking at it, the other stuff we've built, and, I haven't even announced some of the other things we've got in the works, but if you look at polls and the way that they actually work with custom JSON. So the idea is threads themselves are comments, but then you've got things that are layered on top, like polls, which are custom JSON. So we figured out that we could build this like really robust and multivariate experience by taking comments as that base layer and then building those custom JSON features on top of it. So it's pretty amazing. And like I was saying, the day one of threads, you noticed how slow and buggy it was, and how we kind of scaled it up from there. And now you can see that there's, thousands of threads being created every day, and it's working pretty much bug free. I'm not going to say that it's completely bug free, but it's still kind of an alpha product. And, today kind of marks the day when we move from alpha to beta. So it's still a beta product. There still can be issues. That's just my disclaimer. And, as we kind of add in more features, definitely expect that there could be more and more issues. But, we've definitely hammered out the core features. And, so I'm really excited with how we've progressed through this whole thing. So today if you tried the UI like an hour ago, you noticed that it was down. So we did the full migration. Everything's working now. So you can still use alpha. I'm sure a lot of people are still using that alpha domain, but obviously now the UI is also live on the main domain. And then a few people have asked if the old UI will be available at all. And we're planning to put it live at a separate subdomain. So it's going to be something like, like an old, there's going to be a subdomain that you could visit if you wanted to use the old UI for something. But definitely encouraging everyone to use the new one. So today we pushed a huge update, and this is like the pre-production update. Yeah, exactly. Morton, Matt. It's going to be like something like classic.leofinance or something, for people that, maybe there's something on the old UI that you wanted to use. But one thing you can expect, and there's going to be a disclaimer on that domain, is that we're not going to be actively maintaining it. So, over time, certain features are going to start to break. You probably saw that yesterday and the day before that threads broke on the old UI, and we just didn't even bother fixing it. So time for the new UI.
Hey, Kyle, how long have you slept in the past few days?
Last night, not at all. The other few days, I was all right. A couple hours here and there, a couple of naps.
Nice.
But yeah, I before stuff like this, I tend to just, I like to just grind it out. So if I'm talking and there's a lot of dead air in between my words, you'll know why. Yeah, sleep is for the weak. So what do we got? So today's update, we released the big one today is that we released the new version of Leo Infra, which brought the social logins. So we we did a lot of updates to the social logins and how they work. And I think it's like, it's at least a tenfold improvement over what was there before. Um, and you kind of have to log out to see it because most of you are probably already logged into the UI. But if you hit login and you see that, you're going to see a new banner like right on the login page, and it says Leo Auth. And what we've added is not only the social logins, but we actually built our own version of. It's very similar to like Peak Lock, if you've ever used it, where you can use your posting key directly, and then it stores the auth in your browser. And you can log in directly with the key. And, you know, we basically had to build that anyways to make the social logins work the way we wanted them to. So we just decided to add that in for any existing Hive users who, you know, maybe you don't like Hive Sign, or maybe you don't like Hive Keychain, or maybe they're just not working at the moment for you. So then you can always use Leo Auth as kind of like a backup to log in. One thing about the login page is that where you've got, this is like the bare bones. I actually responded to a thread that Nifty made. This is like a bare bones version of the login page. We really just pushed it for features over, you know, fashion right now. So, you know, the key was just kind of getting it out there. And then the next update before the end of this month is going to be like a design update, a UX update to that. So right now, you know, it still works great, and I still think it looks, you know, perfectly fine, but it is a little bit messy. The next version will be, you know, a lot cleaner, simpler. But if you have people, and you know, with the Zeely campaign, we've seen a lot of new people coming in and asking how to create an account. So if you see people, you can definitely point them to creating an account. The sign up button at the bottom of that page, and then you'll see, I'll drop a screenshot, and then you'll see the 3 sign up options. So you can create a Hive account directly. You can sign up with Twitter, or you can sign up with Google. For now, we got rid of the Facebook login and replaced it with Google because we just think that a lot more people will utilize the Google social login as opposed to Facebook for now. We noticed that there weren't that many people using the Facebook one before. So I think primarily Twitter and Google are going to be our winning Web 2 authorization methods. And then we're going to add Facebook and Apple. So those will be interesting. And then, you know, we may add phone number too. Right now, if you do create a Hive account, you can use your phone number to verify, but it's not like a Web 2 light account, if you will.
All right, Cal, the irony cannot, you know, elude you on the fact that we have a new UI that is very Twitter-like, and in the background we hear birds chirping.
That's very true. I wonder where that's coming from. Who that's
freaking hilarious. And it's,
I think that's me. I'm
the universe.
only one
it's
who
the
lives.
universe. It's the universe giving us the good mojo.
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
if just the Twitter sign-in was a huge win, but the Google sign-in, damn, that's gonna take Leo to the next level, definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the. I've always been a huge fan of light accounts, and we were people talked about light accounts all the way back to the old Steam days. People talked about how nice it would be to have light accounts, and Leo built them, and I still think that we're the only ones that have them. And on the old UI, like I said, the old Leo infra, there's definitely a lot of issues. I actually was really blown away by the numbers. We had 10,000 signups through those authorization methods on the old UI, which is actually pretty wild to think about. Because I just think people probably didn't clock that there were that many people that signed up. I think the big thing was we got a lot of people to sign up and maybe like browse the UI, like from all the tracking that we can do. We don't have a lot of tracking on the UI, but from the tracking that we do have, we could see that people were signing up and they would kind of like browse a few articles or something and then leave. And then they would never sign in again using their, Twitter or Facebook. But what I'm hoping is I believe that with Project Blank and microblogging, a lot of the people that come in and sign up and sign in with, Twitter and Google are going to keep coming back for the microblogging because it's just a lot easier to understand. It's more engaging. It's more fun. I would say 99% of people don't want long form. There's definitely a market out there for long form. but I'd say 99% of people, especially the ones that are coming from Twitter, are going to want the microblogging. They're not going to care for the long form, which kind of drives me into a question I saw about if there's still long form on the UI. And I've seen a lot of people ask that, but if you hit the explore page, you'll find all the long form content. So I think we've got a lot of work to do. And like I said, we're out of alpha, but we're still in beta. This is not like a full product. I wouldn't go out in the world and say that we're ready to, tell your grandma to start using LeoFinance. We got a lot of work left to do to make the UI better and more user friendly. So, one thing that I'm planning to change the next, 1 to 2 months is to make the long form content more accessible and more, like bake it into the experience a little bit better. I think it's a little bit hidden away in that explore page, and unless you click explore, you're probably not going to realize that it's there. So I do see a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, is long form dead?" But if you just click that explore page, you'll see that it isn't. And then the curated page was supposed to be live today, but hit a few hiccups with that. So probably soon, but maybe this Friday in the next, because we're doing updates every Friday still. That's not going away. So this Friday, I'm thinking that we'll have the curated page out. So that'll be curated, will be all long form content. And you'll see the same way it works on the old UI. You'll be able to see all the curated content in that feed. So long form is still a thing. We've got a lot of updates to do on long form, but obviously with this being Project Blank, the focus is heavily on short form, especially in the beginning. So making our way there. Also new. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if I could, going back to the light accounts, before you move on from that, could you explain how that works? Because if somebody signs up with their Twitter feed or eventually with their Google account, with their Twitter account or eventually their Google account, and they start getting involved in interacting, A, is this posted through some type of proxy account? And B, is this using the concept that many others have talked about where the rewards they accumulate are tied to an account that maybe is set up on the back end and then they can claim it? Is that how it's going to work? Or what's the dynamics between these quote unquote light accounts? Because this could actually change a lot with Hive.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, these light accounts are extremely interesting. So there's been a lot of, like I said, the idea of light accounts goes back, several years back to the old Steam days, where people said, how amazing would it be if you could sign up, without having to, because basically when the problem, because I like to start with like, when you build something, what is like the actual problem that you're trying to solve? Because if you're not solving a problem, what's the point? So the actual problem is all of these years of trying to build the Hive blockchain and build this, this ecosystem of users. One of the biggest issues is that when someone signs up for something, especially social media, they want to be signed up in under 30 seconds. They don't want to be sitting there for 10 minutes trying to understand, what their posting key is, what their active key is, what their memo key is, and how to sign in with, Hive keychain and Hive signer. Well, like, what are all these sign-in options? No new user. I'm gonna put it out there that out of 1 million new users, there might be one person that actually wants to understand all of that right from the beginning. So the vast majority of people will want to sign up and sign in instantly without understanding anything about how that is working. And they don't want to store private keys. They don't want to see that if they lose their private keys, there's no way to get their account back. So the way that light accounts work is that it solves that problem of the user signing up and signing in under 30 seconds, and the user not needing to know anything about how it works and not needing to store any sort of private keys or understand what those private keys are for, or understand how to input them into Hive Signer or download Hive Keychain to their browser. That's the point of light accounts. They just do away with all of that. So when you hit sign up with Twitter, you're actually engaging with the Leo Infra database, and you're saying, I own, XYZ Twitter account. And then you'll actually, if you hit it, you'll actually see a Firebase will pop up, which is basically, it's just like a pop-up window that'll show, and it'll connect to your Twitter account, and it'll basically broadcast a message from your Twitter. It's not broadcasting any tweets, like nobody else can see it, but it's basically on the back end broadcasting from Twitter's API to Leo Infra that you are in fact the owner of that Twitter account. And once it does that, Leo Infra connects it. It creates a new Hive account for you, and it connects it to that Twitter account in our Leo Infra database. So there's basically like a unique ID that's created on the back end that connects Twitter to your Twitter account to a Hive account, and then you choose a Hive account username. So let's say Taskmaster 2, if you wanted to create an alt account. So it creates Taskmaster 2, and it connects it to your Taskmaster Twitter account, and then from there it just signs you in. So if you were to sign out and then try to sign back in, you'll see it open Twitter again to authorize that you are in fact logged in with your Twitter account on Twitter, and then it'll tell the Leo Infra API, okay, let Taskmaster in, because it is him, it's not somebody else trying to log into his Hive account. So it basically creates you a Hive account and holds your private keys, and it lets you log into that Hive account using your Twitter account or your Google account to verify that you're the owner. And on the back end, you're getting a Hive account. So you have a Hive account that you can then claim at any time. So you can go, I don't think it's live yet, but we almost have it live. Maybe in the next like one to 2 weeks, if it isn't already live. You'll be able to go to your wallet page if you're signed in with one of these light accounts, and you'll be able to click claim Hive account. And then what that will do is it'll basically prompt you through a set of like 4 steps, I think, where it will explain to you, it'll basically explain all of what I just said in a concise way, that you have, when you originally signed up, you created a Hive account that's connected to your Twitter account, and now you can download the keys for that account. But instead of, one idea was, let's just let people download the keys, then we'll, remove them from the database. The new idea is that it'll actually prompt you through like this 4-step process to actually regenerate keys. So you'll basically be changing all your private keys, which you can do on Hive. So it'll prompt you to change your Hive keys so that we no longer even hold any version of, like, even if something was cached or something in the Leo Infra database, we no longer have any version of keys that would work for your account. So you generate new keys, you download those keys. It'll explain to you that you need to securely store them, and if you don't, you'll lose your account. And then you'll download your keys, and then from then on, if you try to log in with Twitter, it won't work anymore. So you have to log in with your keys, and it'll explain all of that very thoroughly. But yeah, so that's kind of like the rundown of how they work. When you're earning rewards, I know that's a big question, is like, okay, let's say I signed up with one of these light accounts and now I'm creating, microblogs and long form content. Let's say I earn like $100 worth of Leo and Hive, and it's sitting in my wallet, and you can obviously still power up and you can do everything that all the other Hive users can do. The only thing you can't do is log into other Hive apps. If you want to do that, then you got to take full control of your Hive account, because like I said, you're on a light account. So you can power up the Leo, you can power up the Hive. So all the earnings that you're getting are going to your Hive account, and you own that Hive account, but you don't, I would like to explain it that you don't own it outright. It's kind of like if you held Bitcoin on Coinbase versus holding Bitcoin in a cold wallet that you have control of. It's kind of like that. Exactly. Fuji just said it's custodial. It's essentially custodial. You essentially don't have full control and full reign over that account. Not until you download the keys and change them. So. Yeah, exactly. That's basically how they work. Like light account is the best way to explain it, I think, because it really gives you access to pretty much all the features, but then you're missing that key component of like being able to go out to other Hive apps. And long-term, I've talked about this before, but long-term, especially now that we're kind of getting over the hump of like the major Project Blank development, we do want to open up the APIs so that other Hive apps can use Leo Infra. So that is our long-term plan, is to make Leo Infra accessible from any Hive app. So like, let's say let's say that you signed up through LeoFinance.io and you hear about Splinterlands, and then you want to go use Splinterlands, but you're still not ready to like take full control of that Hive account and download the private keys. Splinterlands could have a login option called LeoInfra, and if you clicked it, then it would say sign in with LeoInfra, and then it would sign in with your Twitter account over there. So I definitely foresee us doing that. I don't have a timeline on it, but let's say in the next 1 to 2 years or something, I would love to open up LeoInfra to every Hive app.
Killer.
Yeah, and the new version, like I said, it's like a tenfold improvement. I mean, if you want to go play around with it, it works so flawlessly. Like I'm not gonna say it's bug free, but in terms of when it does work, and I haven't seen it not work yet, but when it does work, it works so seamlessly, and it works the way that it was originally designed to, but it wasn't as seamless on the old UI. It's super smooth and yeah. So especially with the Zeely campaign, we got a bunch of people asking how to create accounts and saying that the account creation wasn't working on the old UI. There were some bugs on it. But now on the new UI, if you see anybody asking that, you can actually send them to this sign up page directly. I just dropped the link. If you send them there directly, they'll just see, create a Hive account, sign up with Twitter, sign up with Google. Super easy.
So if you opened a support ticket about it, it's fixed. Go log in with Twitter.
Yep. Yeah, I did see some tech support tickets that Nifty was answering that were people from the Zeely campaign asking how to start on LeoFinance. So it goes to show that Eric's been doing a great job. So definitely getting some new eyeballs into the crew.
I mean, I think one of the best parts of all of this is that people can actually create new accounts and stack rewards. And then when they feel ready, they can just full deep dive into what Hive is. But in the meantime, they can just use their Twitter account or their Google account and just thread around, maybe create content, engage with other people. And then when they're ready, they can become a Lion or a Hiver.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's it's a totally new experience to be able to not only to do the social logins with the light accounts, but then actually to be like opened up after you log in to this microblogging experience and be able to, it's a first ever for Hive where someone could be signed up in under 30 seconds and could create their first piece of content in under 30 seconds, which would just be like a thread. Like they could literally sign up and then just say hi. And then, in under a minute, they've signed up to Hive and now they've created their first piece of content. So.
Yeah,
Hey, Task,
I think that was the
Taskmaster.
missing piece.
Yeah. Task, is this enough growth for you to sustain inflation?
I like what I see, and to be honest with you, Eric, going back to our discussion from a few weeks ago, I think what we're going to see, if my understanding of the development plan is correct, and maybe Cal can comment on this, but I guess in short order, whatever that'll be when soon, Leo Ads is going to be feeding into this, and the ad revenue model that we've so long discussed is going to be implemented. And as I discussed, not only in our call about a month ago or whenever it was, but also I've written some posts on, I think it's very impressive that LeoFinance is starting to approach things with a business mindset, thinking of ways to generate revenues, creating that Web3 model. That revenue generation is created, and we will turn around and push that back to the members of the community. I noticed with the crypto insights and some of the other things that were built, any rewards there are going to burn, which makes a little bit of sense because that does help the ecosystem a little bit, and it's not going to be an overwhelming majority. But the idea of generating revenues is what's going to get people to buy the token from the open market, in addition to the bot buying it from the ad revenue. So yes, I think we can far outpace inflation, as you and I discussed, Eric, when you were on our show. What's the number? I mean, you get 25,000 people on Leo Threads. Does that eat up the inflation? I think 25,000 certainly would eat up the inflation. And my question to you then is, what were the MAUs for last month?
I haven't run the numbers, but I did see a lot of people coming in last minute yesterday. So I think we ended up, I'm gonna just call a number, we were like 980. So even though we were around 40, maybe 50 people, 50 users less than last month, we are continuing to stay a little bit established around the 1,000 monthly active users on Threads and 1,500 in the whole LeoFinance ecosystem. So I don't even want to say a number for this month, but I could just venture to say that we're gonna double that this month, maybe.
More detail, people, when you say no sound. Are you talking about Discord? You're talking about where are you listening to YouTube? And
I think
is it specific people?
I think it could be when Eric's talking. I feel like I've been seeing that whenever he talks that they say there's no sound.
YouTube has sound. Okay, it could be. I mean, I don't know. He's not muted, but I don't know. Eric, say something.
Yo, can you listen to me? Chat.
We can hear you. I mean, you don't light up in the Discord when you speak.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
I think
Okay.
you're muted on Discord somehow.
He's
or maybe your
muted,
mic
his
isn't
mic just
set.
might. Sometimes, yeah.
And Taskmaster, I think you're muted on Discord.
A lot of times what happens is when you plug in headphones or whatever, sometimes Discord gets weird and it either switches your mic or whatever. So if anything, just go into the settings into Discord and see, because that's happened to me before.
Yeah, I still see a ton of people talking
so
about how they
basically-
can't find the long form. Just hit the explore button.
Yeah, I'm in the long form right now. So, I mean, I've been trying to, keep up with the chat in YouTube, keep up the chat in Discord, and, write a recap post as we're going. So know that it will not be verbatim, people, but I'm doing my best.
I've got a announcement about the long form content too. One thing that we didn't fix yet, but I think we'll have it fixed probably like a few hours after we jump off this call. Long form content has a different URL than it did on the old UI. So this is causing some issues, especially like, if you have like links that were posted from before, like on the old UI, like if let's say, for example, that Taskmaster like tweeted out a link to his LeoFinance article like yesterday, that link will give a 404 error right now. We're gonna push a fix for that. So right now, basically the problem is that the URLs say leofinance.io/post/view, and then it gives you the hyperlink for that URL. So it's just a formatting error, but we'll fix it. So by the end of today, for sure, it'll all be properly linked up.
If I could ask a question with this new URL and new UI, in terms of optimization and SEO and things like that, from what I understand, the old site was just awful with that. Are there being steps taken with the design of the new UI that's going to help in that regard and maybe help LeoFinance in the rankings in Google and some of the other search engines?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things in here. There's all sorts of categories you could look at. Cleaner code, being more friendly to crawls from from search engines. And then also loading speed has a big impact. You know, the speed that a link will load is something that they factor in for SEO. And then if you've noticed on the right-hand side where we have like when you're on someone's post, I'll drop a screenshot. Like if I'm on Taskmaster's post, you'll see 5 other articles that you've written. It says more posts from Taskmaster. Having on-page links like that kind of link throughout the UI definitely helps. And then you're gonna like this Taskmaster. We're working on basically, if you've used that search bar at all on the homepage, you can search like accounts and tags. We're adding a feature that's kind of like that, where you can turn it on the publishing page, and you can there's like a command, you can hit like / and then you'll be able to choose from Leo glossary links, and then you'll be able to hyperlink through Leo glossary stuff. You'll be able to basically like imagine that you hit / like let's say you're writing writing an article about you know, bonds, like traditional bond market, and you know there's a Leo glossary. You write bond, and you're like, oh, I wonder if there's, you know, a Leo glossary entry for bond. So you type / bond. And if you do that, then it'll tell you if there is one, and then you just click, and then it'll select it, and it'll automatically put bond and hyperlink that to the Leo glossary entry for that. So, you know, one thing that this new UI does, you know, that's one piece of it. One thing that this new UI does is better interlink itself to other pieces of content within the UI, and I think that's going to have a big impact on the SEO front. But yeah, I mean, and then also you got to factor in that Threads. A lot of times people are posting links to their posts on Threads, which creates another, you know, internal link. So all of this internal linking, I think, will have a positive impact. Loading speed, Leo glossary. What else do we have? The code is a lot easier to crawl, like the on-page code for search engines. So between all of those, I think the SEO is going to be vastly improved. If you've actually noticed, between Hive UIs, LeoFinance is actually one of the most optimized for SEO. You know, one thing that definitely doesn't help is that certain Hive UIs kind of try to steal canonical links. So there's kind of like this you know, Hive war over canonical links, where like basically UIs are trying to fight for authority on each link. But yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of cases, LeoFinance actually wins out in terms of canonical authority.
Yeah, I think the Leo glossary integration is going to do a lot. Full disclosure, I would be using it if it was easy like that.
Yeah, I think the fact that you have to kind of like think if, oh, is this word in Leo glossary? And then you got to go to the Leo glossary table of contents and look for it. I think that's a big, it's a big hurdle to jump over. So yeah, Taskmaster's been pushing me to get this out, and give me a few weeks. I think I can get it out.
So, like I said, I'm multitasking. So with the Leo glossary, what did I miss something? Did you say did I hear something about some kind of integration with Leo glossary? Because we would have to be doing 5 things at the same time.
He was asleep for the last 5 minutes.
No, I was answering people on YouTube, answering people on Discord, and typing a recap post all at the same time.
So with the Leo glossary, quick TLDR is that you'll be able to type a command in the publishing page or on a thread, for example, wherever you can create content, and you'll be able to type like /bond. And if that exists in Leo glossary, it'll show kind of, if you use the search menu on the homepage, you'll see exactly how that works, where it kind of like shows a drop down of potential things that you can click. So you'll do like /bond, and it'll show you like, oh, /bond, you know, and then anything that might be related to bond. It'll show in that it's basically like an intelligent search, and you can pull it with a command.
Cool.
And it's basically just going to be scraping the Leo glossary account for all of those hyperlinks.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to get it into the recap post.
So yeah, Taskmaster, who else works with you on Leo glossary? Because you guys pump out links. Like it's pretty nuts.
We've had a few different people. Gadrian is the most consistent. He handles Splinterlands and Splinter Glossary and all the terms related to Splinterlands, which that just keeps growing. iFarm Girl and a couple other people have helped from time to time. So it's really something that I think now that you have public plans to integrate it, I'll try to step it up. And, I think the idea personally, and I'm obviously biased, but I think the idea of a decentralized database in this regard is very valuable for LeoFinance and for Hive in general. And I think that, as a community, to step it up is very important.
Yep. Love to see it. Yeah, like I said, those internal links have a huge impact. So Leo Glossary has been growing really, really steadily. And I think it's amassed like a pretty crazy amount of internal links. So I'm excited to get that all hooked up and see what the average content creator can start turning that into.
Well, another thing that's just an FYI that I found interesting is somebody did a chat GPT for, I forget what the exact term was, but it was something related to Hive. And as I was reading through the screenshot, I was like, this sounds very familiar. They took it from Leo Glossary. So, getting this content up there with some of these newer technologies. I mean, everything is still trying to appease Google because Google's still king of the road. But we don't know how, ChatGPT and some of these other projects that companies are working on, how that's going to change things in the future. So getting content up on chain in this regard, I think, is a very valuable move.
Yeah, I agree. And on the point of ChatGPT, we've seen like a really cool development within the community, which was spearheaded by Eric and Hive Trending. I talked about it a little bit on the last AMA, but it's called News to Threads. So if you've seen any threads, and Taskmaster, you just mentioned it a little bit ago too. So I just wanted to touch on it real quick. If you've seen any threads that have been posted by it's like Crypto Insights, Business Insights, and other accounts that are named similarly. If you've seen any threads created from those, it's actually something really cool happening on the back end, which is that Eric, it's anyone with the lion roll or above, right?
Yeah, right now I think it's leaders of the pack and ambassadors and squires, but it will be open to lions and above once we get all the details polished.
Cool. So if you're an Apex Lion, leader of the pack, or an ambassador or squire, you can use this feature. But it's basically in Discord, there's a bot where you can feed it links to like crypto news articles or finance news articles. And then the bot basically interacts with ChatGPT to turn that news article into a 3-thread summary. And then on the 4th thread, it'll post a link to the original article. And this whole idea kind of came out of this thesis to turn threads into like a one-stop shop for not only for engagement but also for like really high quality news. So basically by giving this ability through Discord to anyone who's got these Leo Power roles, if you've got 15,000 Leo Power or more, the idea is that between all of those users, we'll be able to kind of like share. And I've been using it a lot. I did like 10 this morning. We'll be able to share links into that News to Threads bot, and then have a kind of a constant feed of like the most valuable news being shared on Threads and actually being like summarized. So like, it's really, I think the killer part of it is that it's using AI through ChatGPT to actually summarize these articles and turn them into these threads where you can be like, all right, let me just, I want all the news, but I don't want to have to read through, 10 different articles. So ChatGPT on news to threads will just give me like the quick rundown, Cliff Notes version. And then, if I'm really interested in it, then I click the full link and then check it out. So yeah, I think that integration is really cool. So shout out to Eric and Hive Trending. They killed it on it. And I think they've got some other ideas that are in the works. I won't drop any alpha yet, but I hear that they're working on some other cool stuff.
I do have a question for Eric.
Go ahead.
Well, there was a list initially of what sites could be fed into the engine for that. And, we had some discussions. I sent you some names of sites that I thought would be good to be added. What is the process and what is the timeline on getting newer sites added and expanding it in that regard?
I think that next week we will have time to actually add at around 50, maybe 60 new websites. So users can just drop those links and the bot can actually handle the format of the website. So yeah, if anyone above COB level has any suggestions, just send them to me on a DM. And I think that one thing that we have to clarify for all the people who are new here, Cal, is that LeoFinance as a long form content platform is for anyone who wants to publish articles related to money, finance, economics, business, fintech, maybe even politics if they affect the world macroeconomic scenario. But Threads, which is the microblogging part of LeoFinance, is for everything. So people can just post a picture of their dog or their breakfast or their thoughts while they shower, whatever. So
or their feet.
Or their feet. Yeah, I mean that's the cool thing about Threads, right? It opens LeoFinance to like that whole new demographic. And the idea is, you guys have kind of seen like V1 of some filtering options between like tags and then the hide threads, including links. You've seen like the V1 of filtering, but there's going to be a lot of new filtering options. So I haven't really talked about this yet, but we're building something called Leo Cache, which is kind of like Leo Infra and Lightning. It's a similar type of setup to those. It's a database on the back end. And what Leo Cache will do is it will allow each user to choose their own set of filtering options. And the database will kind of store that user data in terms of like, let's say that Nifty wants to see, let's say that he wants to choose that he likes, 10 hashtags and they're like finance, crypto, news, and stuff like that, technology. And those are kind of, and then GM friends, and that's all kind of included in the, the 10 hashtags that he wants to see. So he, in the settings page, he has those 10 hashtags. And then on top of that, he can say, I only want to see links from users that have more than 1,000 Leo power because I don't want to be spammed by people who, might just be coming into spam. So, I've got 10 hashtags. In those hashtags, I only want to see links from people with over 1,000 Leo power. And then also, I want to see polls get more priority over all the other types of content that I'm seeing, so that polls kind of get driven to the top. Let's say he chooses those 3 filtering options and saves it as a feed. And then, you've got latest, trending, and following right now, but then, you'll have another feed called like For You or something. That For You feed is now populated with those variables that Nifty set, and it's only on Nifty's account. And that's Leo Cache is basically saving that entry and saying, this is what we show to Nifty for his For You page. And each user will be able to set their own parameters to create a For You page. So what we're basically doing is we're lacking a few $1 billion that are required to create personalized AI, the types of For You pages that exist on TikTok and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're lacking a few $1 billion that are required to create those. So what we're doing is we're creating our own kind of little hacked version of it, which is that each user creates their own algorithm. You know, rather than us creating an algorithm because we don't have the billions of dollars to do it, each user can create their own algorithm using some predefined variables, and then have a For You page. So I don't remember how I got to this topic, but that's the future of filtering on Threads.
Well,
We got to it because we were talking about opening up the UI to all sorts of content. So, you know, imagine a day where there's 100,000 monthly active users. You know, there's people posting pictures of their feet. There's people posting pictures of their dogs. There's people posting news, crypto. You know, as a user, you're going to quickly get overwhelmed with stuff that you don't want to see. So we need a For You page, and we need a really good one. And like I said, without the billions of dollars to build an algorithm, we're gonna hack together a user created algorithm, which also happens to kind of feed into that Web3 vision of give the users all the power to do whatever they want. So
that
I'm
works.
excited for that.
I will be filtering out feed pics. I don't want to see anyone's feet.
I'll be filtering out. I'll be
jokes
filtering
aside,
out all
I think
feet pics, but my variable will be set to except for Nifty's account. If the feed pics from Nifty's account, I will gladly see them in my feed.
So, you know, speaking of features, we're talking about features. Obviously, we talked about, you know, what's out there, what's been launched. Now, I feel like we're talking about a lot of features that are, you know, in the mix and, you know, in the Sooniverse. So it's probably a good time because I know there's plenty of people that have been asking the whens with bated breath, and we are about 50 minutes into this live stream. So for all you Zeely campaign people that are FOMOing, the keyword for today is mainstream. That is your keyword, mainstream, which is the goal of LeoFinance, to make this mofo mainstream. So you heard it here, and now you can stop with your wins. Send your wins to Cal, not to me.
And don't leave. We have a small giveaway at the end of this. So stay tuned, guys.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
And here's how much Eric is good at the FOMO. I don't even know what the giveaway is. He's even holding out on me. So I have to stay too.
I do have a one question, Cal, for you.
Okay.
And it's not so much a when, it's just the process. You mentioned that this shift is we've moved out of alpha, now we're in beta. What is the rollout or the timeline or however you want to phrase it to move from beta to full production? Obviously, that's going to be dependent on feedback and bugs and how all these systems work. But what would you like to see in your ideal world of the unfolding of how we go from beta to full production?
Great question. So I've got probably in the realm of 500 to 700 features that are written down that I want to build into the UI. And I'm not saying that all of those have to be in, but a good majority of them I think should be in order for me to consider this a production, product. Obviously with that comes also fixing bugs and, I would say the latest, if you were using alpha like up until yesterday, you probably saw that there were a lot of application errors that the UI was kicking back, and we pushed obviously a huge bug fix when we pushed into production today. So those app errors should be gone, but along with those, various features are also making the UI super smooth. Like if you use Twitter, you almost never see a bug. I mean, just consider that experience, and that to me is a super bug-free environment with tons of features. That's kind of where I think that we cross that precipice into having a full production app. So I think it really comes down to that list of features and being bug-free. But we'll probably consider it beta for a relatively long time. I mean, I could see it for 1 year, maybe even longer. That we'll consider this beta, but it's still, even though we consider it beta, it's still LeoFinance.io. So I think that was the big shift, was that today we replaced the old UI with the new one. Kind of on a similar topic, I know a lot of people are asking about tokenomics and stuff like that. And that kind of coincides with my ideas for where this UI is headed, which is, and we were also just talking about feed picks. So this is all commingling in my brain now.
It's all related.
Yeah, it's all related.
all related.
The long-term vision of the UI is to create that, the everything app for Web3, right? So, we all joke about feed picks and only Leos, but where this UI is headed is we're talking about ad revenue and Leo ads. And like I said, when the new UI went live, Leo ads is going to go live as well. So, stay tuned for some really big announcements towards the end of this month about Leo ads. Now that we're in production, along with Leo ads, and Taskmaster said it first here, thinking about Leo more like a business and looking at, ways that we're driving in revenue to the Leo token. Leo ads is a big piece of that. And that's why, monthly active users is a huge focus. The next stage especially of revenue is, we've got Leo ads, we've got news to threads, which is now burning Leo. And so we have a few sinks that are out there that are kind of grabbing the token and burning them. But Leo ads is kind of like that redistribution model. And then from there, the next kind of big leap that we're making is going to be Leo ads to the next version, which is going to be kind of like the only Leos joke, but it's actually going to be like a subscriber. It's going to be like a whole initiative around paid subscribers. So, if Taskmaster wants to create, he creates, I don't know how many articles, like 600 a day. If he wants to create like 601 articles a day, and that last article, maybe he puts like the most alpha into the last article, maybe it talks about Tesla and, where he thinks it's going. And he includes some like deeper research on it and kind of turns it into like a premium article. He can then paywall it. So the next iteration is going to be paywalling certain content. So let's say that Taskmaster wants to paywall that last article of the day. And if you want to see it, you have to be a Taskmaster subscriber, to his Only Leos account. And if you are a subscriber, then let's say you pay, he can choose, but let's say it's like $4.99 a month. So $5 a month. And you can subscribe using either, Leo, Hive, or HBD. You're paying $5 a month. And then every day you get that premium article from Taskmaster. A small percentage of that goes to Leo, and, to be determined whether that just burns, that Leo gets burnt, or it goes in with the Leo ads pool to the Leo power holders, TBD on that. But that's in my opinion, that's going to be like a huge next step for revenue after Leo ads. So you got Leo ads feeding into revenue, and then you're going to have this subscriber premium model that's going to feed into it. And the other thing that we're going to work on along with paywalling content, so you'll be able to paywall content behind like a subscription. You'll also be able to paywall articles so that they can be like one-time purchases. So like, let's say that someone doesn't want to subscribe to you, but they want to read one of your premium articles. You can charge them like 99 cents to read one premium article, or $4.99 a month to read all your premium articles all the time. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a pretty radical shift in terms of revenue as a platform, but revenue as a user base. And I don't remember, I think Taskmaster and I talked about this like way back in the day when we used to do a podcast together. I don't even know how many years ago that was at this point, but we used to do a podcast together. And I think we talked that, one point around Leo is like, if you make the whole Leo community rich, then the whole platform will be rich. The whole ecosystem will be rich. The whole, the monthly active users will grow and feed on itself. You want to feed value into each individual as much as you're feeding into the whole. And I think adding that kind of premium model with subscriptions and paywalling content, I think that is one of those big ways where you can enrich the whole user base, on a more individual basis, while also building the whole through that, small percentage. Like imagine that, the top 500 authors on Leo suddenly come out with their, paywall models. And then you can be, premium subscribers, and then they, that's a first on Hive. Like that doesn't really exist. So, now we've got, the 500 core Leo users that are going out and they're actively trying to get more subscribers, in a selfish way. But they're also then building up the platform through that small cut that goes to, like I said, either burning or Leo power holders with the Leo ads. So yeah, just like a radical shift in the way we look at revenue and the whole business model.
Hey, Kyle, I have
Yeah.
a question that maybe it was already answered while I'm dealing with some stuff here. So if the paywall content is posted on chain, how are we going to avoid people just checking out the content on other front ends or directly on the blockchain? Are we going to hide that? Is going to be off chain? How is it going to work?
Good question. Yeah. So typically when I look at how we build stuff, like I was saying with threads earlier, I had some models built out for custom JSONs and comments on chain, and obviously we ended up going with comments. I have some models built out for paywalling content. I'll share 3 of them with you. One is each user has to use their memo key to unencrypt premium content. So that's one model. The other one is that we create our own, within Leo Infra, we can create this. We create our own basically encryption method for paywall content. So the content is encrypted on chain, but instead of, because there are a group of Hive users that never saved their memo key to unencrypt things. So we basically create our own encryption through Leo Infra. And that encryption works very similarly to how like the Hive light accounts work, for example. So yeah, like Fuji's saying, yeah, you can whitelist memo keys for subscribers. So each subscriber has their key whitelisted, and then they can unlock the premium content from that. So that's one idea. That's the first one. Definitely more complex. Second one would be to create our own kind of simpler encryption method that still puts the content on chain, but then users don't need their memo key to decrypt. The third option is to do it off chain, which is obviously that's my least favorite option. I tend to be, and I'm sure there's Hive maxes out there that will say the opposite, but I tend to be very maximalist in that I believe that as much things that we can put on chain, we should be putting on chain. I like when we put as much data on chain as possible. So I do believe it'll be one of the first 2 options. But there is a third option out there, which is like, okay, we can't solve for the first 2. So we still want to do premium subscription model. So we have to kind of go Web 2 on it. I really don't think that's going to happen though. I'm pretty confident that either we'll do the first one, or if we find that it's too complex, we'll do the second one where we have our own kind of encryption method that's kind of tied to your account through the Leo Infra backend. But the whole idea is on the back end, it's probably going to be, relatively complex. On the front end, I want it to be, you go to Taskmaster's profile. He has a $4.99 subscription button, subscribe for premium articles, $4.99 a month. You click that once, and then every month you can set up through Leo Infra, you can set up a auto payment every month. Hive Keychain has the same thing that you can do with Hive and HBD transfers, where it'll do it automatically for you every month. You set up that auto pay every month, and then now you're subscribed. And when you subscribe, there's like a tab there that says, and Twitter just kind of added this too, but there's a tab there that says subscribers. And then when you click that, it's like a feed of premium content from Taskmaster. And that will include threads and posts. So Taskmaster can then choose, do I want to put this thread out to everybody, or do I want to put it out to my subscribers only? And then he can choose for his posts. He can say, do I want to put my post out to everybody or just my subscribers? So a lot of cool stuff there.
I think if I could throw one more thing on top of this idea is, I think it's important for everybody to understand there's a bunch of infrastructure not only being built by Cal and LeoFinance, but you have the Speak network, you have smart contract platforms. There's some things that are starting to roll out, things that 3Speak's doing with video integration and I wrote a post this morning, and you'll get more information about, a broadcast umbrella and that type of thing, and looking at decentralized broadcast systems and whatnot. So I think the important thing to remember is a lot of what we're discussing right now is with tools and infrastructure that's out now. But fast forward 3 to 6 months, the options available to Cal and the development team could be much greater towards the end of the year, because you have some of these other platforms and infrastructure being built tied to Hive.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Hive is always really good at, is that the tools, APIs, and other projects developing has always been growing. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more building across the whole Hive ecosystem, because building the everything app, we can just keep integrating more and more. I've talked about that. I've got this idea for 3Speak shorts on top of threads, where you can we can basically create a feed that's kind of like TikTok directly on threads, where you can create and view say like 15-second videos. So I think that's definitely something that we can do and leverage 3Speak, especially as they continue to build out their infrastructure and make it more scalable. Now that we're in production with the UI, I think it's going to be time to really start opening things up and getting out there. We've been on this kind of hardcore sprint this last year to get this UI out. I just dropped the link to the Threadstorm, or the Threadcast. So if anyone wants to drop some questions in there, we could maybe do like a quick, like a rapid fire Q&A if you guys are down for that.
I mean, that definitely works. There's been plenty of questions that have streamed through both chats over the first hour or so. So if they were not addressed just in the general conversations and the features update, feel free to repost, and we'll focus on Q&A for a little while here.
Gracias.
So also, I dropped the recap post for the first hour of the launch party show, and try to include as much in regards to the features that were shared.
Hey, can anyone listen to
something
me on
interesting
Zoom?
in the yeah.
What's up, Eric?
Can anyone listen to me on Zoom, because I think it's acting out.
I hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just a friendly public announcement. There's a lot of people, around 40 or 50 people, that didn't receive any experience points from a couple of quests from yesterday. There was a glitch with Zilli, so I am going to send a mass message on the Zilli channel on the Discord, on the Leo Discord server. So just heads up for those who are missing out. Well, not missing out, who are missing some points. Just that.
Public service announcement. Your points are coming.
Yes.
When native Bitcoin to Leo swaps. When
Thorchain.
when Thorchain integration.
Soon.
I mean, if we had more time in our hands, we could say soon, but that's something probably for 2024, right, Cal?
Yeah. I would say probably sometime between now and then.
Well, one question about the long form content. When you go and post long form, write up long form on new UI, is the automatic save feature there, or do we have to still save it offline?
So good question. So I've been using the long form to create posts. By the way, I forgot that one thing I forgot to mention about we dropped a ton of new features today. One of them was schedule. You can schedule posts now from the publishing UI, so you might have noticed it in the bottom right. But the drafts feature, I've been I've been using it and I have not lost a single draft. So I'm, like I said, when we moved to production, I was going to be, I put out a thread that I would be confident that you wouldn't be losing posts. That being said, if you're writing a long post and you're concerned about losing it, I would definitely recommend keeping a second copy of it somewhere. Because I know that, losing your content is the worst feeling. So, if you're worried about it, definitely keep a second copy. Sometimes I will keep a second copy if I'm working on something that's kind of longer, like a 1,500 word post. If I'm doing like a quick 500, 600 word post, I usually will just type it out and I'm fine. But what you got to do is you type a title. You can even just put like a placeholder letter in there. And then when you start typing the body, hit enable drafting in the top right. It's a red button. And then when you see that red button turn green, and it'll show like a spinning icon, I'll drop a screenshot. When you see that spinning icon, you can be pretty confident, in my opinion. I like I said, I still have not lost a draft. If that thing is on and it's green, I think you're probably safe. So that is the autosave feature. It won't just autosave unless you turn drafting on. I think one of the changes I want to make by next Friday is to make it default to on all the time. So we'll work on that.
Yeah, I haven't had any issue with it, and I think it definitely should be auto on.
Yeah, I'm not really worried
Yeah, we'll
about that. I
change
feel
that.
like the drafts have saved. If anything, I'm just more so, and I know obviously there'll be an update, but how to even access my long form now. It's like if I go to my profile, it's like threads, wallet, and then blog is a grayed out link that doesn't work. So
Yeah, so
when
we really pushed hard to get into production today. I wanted to maintain that May 1st launch date, but one of the things that's going to be, it was, like I said, with the curated feed, it was supposed to be live today, but it wasn't ready, is that blog will be ungray probably by this coming Friday. So
awesome.
you'll have your personal blog feed. I may even try to roll it out before this Friday because I know it's kind of a big deal.
So now that brings me
Another,
to the next question of how do I see long form content? Forget in my profile, just in general. Is that something also I'm waiting for, or?
Explore page.
Oh yeah, that's right. Explore page.
So you hit explore and then there are orange buttons there. You can see the trending. You'll see like the top 5 trending, and then you'll see like the top 10 new. And below each of those feeds, there's show more trending or show more new. And then if you hit those, you get like the created feed and stuff that we used to have.
Cool. Yeah, I'm on the explore page.
Definitely
now.
a lot of work left to do on long form content. Like we still don't even have tags added and stuff like that. So definitely a lot of work left.
Cool. It looks good though. I'm on the explore page.
one question I have is relating to long form content. Now that we have threads as the focal point, if you will, or a focal point, and threads is wonderful for not only non-traditional LeoFinance stuff, but Leo Threads is also great for if I have a chart and I take a snapshot of a chart and I put it up on a stock or on Bitcoin and I write a couple words and say, oh, this is about to break out to the upside or the downside. And we've had a problem, in my opinion, in the past with the LeoFinance long form, where you get people who posted 100-word posts and they're in the long form section. And that just really clutters up the feeds and stuff like that. And even though the focus is on the threads now, I think we can enhance the long form content, or at least the standing of it, if you put, let's say, a 500-word minimum or something like that. Are there plans to do something like that to try to separate out and make the long form people more long form people, where, okay, this is something I'm interested in. I write 500 words. This is what I do. But somebody who writes 150 words or 200 words, it's like you're just trying to snake rewards. Go on Leo Threads and do a thread cast, and you can get upvoted there. What are your plans there?
Yeah, that's a good one. I have this idea, and I kind of flip it over back and forth in my head of adding some sort of minimum, like you're talking about, where if you haven't hit, like, say, 500 words or something, it will actually, while you're writing, it'll actually turn it into, which also is kind of like a whole other feature on its own. While you're writing, it'll actually be creating like a thread storm. So it'll create, one thread, and then it'll connect them. So imagine that on the publishing page, instead of the preview showing like a long form post, it'll actually be showing you like you're just typing a normal like long form paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. It'll actually show you it as a thread, a thread, instead of like paragraph. And then when you hit publish, it would just publish them all as threads connected to each other. So I have an idea where if you did that, it would have that minimum. And if you haven't crossed the minimum, it would ask you, do you want to just publish this as a thread storm, or do you still want to publish it as long form? And it'll say like, are you sure, kind of a thing. Because I don't think we want to take away the ability to do it. But I also see what you're saying, that there is plenty of kind of like BS content that's posted. So I have those two different ideas, whether we create like a hard cap on it. Like basically like right now there's like look at it as on threads, there's a ceiling. So you can't post more than 240 characters per thread. And on posts, we could do a floor where you can't post a post with under, 500 words or 250 words or something. Or we can do like a soft floor where it will just ask you, are you sure you don't want to just post this as a thread if it's under that amount? But yeah, I like that idea. I think constraints, like one thing about social media is I do think we're kind of moving into like this world of constraints. And constraints can be very good, especially for social media. Like you look at one reason why Twitter is so popular for, discussions and stuff. And part of it, I think, has to do with constraint, is that, people don't want to have discussions and people are posting, books around every single discussion point. Sometimes you just want to have a quick rapid fire discussion with someone with just a few characters per tweet. And that's one thing that Twitter provides through constraints. And then you look at like the rise of TikTok, and it started with, 15-second videos. And the reason why it grew so big, it wasn't trying to be a YouTube competitor where it was creating, you could create 15-minute videos. It created a whole new category of content creation and consumption by having, radical constraints. So yeah, I definitely am a fan of constraints when they're used in the right way.
Just to follow up on that idea, I think it's important to note in the video world, for example, or the audio world. You mentioned TikTok, and TikTok became huge because it's 45-second videos, which separated initially from YouTube. And everybody says, well, okay, there's a market for short form content, quick hits. Everybody wants the quick stuff. And the reason why I brought up what I did is because I think there is the parallel with written stuff where there is a market for long form content. Not everybody just wants a quick hit stuff. A lot of people want to read 1,000-word post. They don't want to do it every day, or they don't want to do it all day, but they do want that. And the example that I use is, in spite of the TikTok and the success of TikTok, Joe Rogan still does a 3-hour podcast and gets people listening for 3 hours. You still have these podcasters who put on long shows and people tune in. So I think there is room for both. You just have to categorize it and make sure. And I think LeoFinance, if we get the Leo threads, we get the long form content, and you separate it out so people know, hey, if I'm looking for long form content, that's what I'm going to see. And if I'm on Leo Threads, I'm not going to see the long form content unless it's a threadcast. And then I know if I see something there from Cal and it's got 42 replies and he writes threadcast in the first thread, okay, I'm going to be reading for a while, but that's what I want to see.
There's definitely a market for long form content. We've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes, and we still have 50 people listening to us.
100%.
It's true.
Yeah, long form is definitely not dead. There's definitely and there's plenty of people who listen to Joe Rogan. They listen to the whole podcast. There's a whole other segment of people who listen to Joe Rogan and they listen to the 5-minute clips that are posted on YouTube. So, there's a market for both, and you need to cater to both in the right way. So like I said, I have a lot of ideas to make long form better on this new UI. I definitely want to make sure that, short form like the way I see the UI is like when a new user comes in, you want to show them short form content first, because that's what most people are interested in. And that's like the easiest way, because it's like you're trying to like hook them in and get them to be an engaged member of the community. And you're not going to do that with long form content. I think Hive has proven that through, 7 years of having primarily long form content. The way to really get them is to do the short form first. And then, the people that do like long form will kind of slowly start to see, oh, you can also post long form blogs here. And that's what I'm most interested in, and reading them is what I'm most interested in. So yeah, definitely need to create like this cohesive experience to cater to both types of people. And also people that like both. Like I love both. I read a lot of long form, and I also love, reading and engaging through threads.
Another thing, Cal, and I'm sorry to monopolize the questions, but they just keeps coming forth. Elon appears to be taking Twitter and his blue check mark, or his Twitter blue, or whatever the hell it's called. And he seems to be, if I'm reading it correctly, he's going to build in features that you get with Twitter blue that you do not get with being a regular user of Twitter. I think we can do something similar with Leo in terms of Leo power. So as you gain more Leo power, you gain access to more aspects of the site. Have you thought anything in terms of those, along those lines, or ways where, if you get to 10,000 Leo or 25,000 Leo power or 50,000 Leo power, whatever the numbers are, you get advanced features and you get more of the site?
Yeah, so we actually talked about that, and I put up a thread talking about it last week, which was one of the ideas I have is like right now, like I said, we're kind of like V1, very rough versions of filtering on the UI. One idea I had that I put up is, what if instead of hide threads including links, it was hide threads including links from users that have less than, say, 5,000 Leo power. So if you're under that Leo power, you don't have the role to be able to post links. Or I think in that thread I put 15,000 Leo power, but obviously we can make it whatever we want. So what that will do, essentially is kind of what you're talking about, which is that if you have more than, let's just use 15,000 as for this example. If you have more than 15,000 Leo power, then you can post links on the UI. Or let's say this, anyone can post a link on the UI. You can do it right now if you want. But what it does is the filter will filter you out if a user has it turned on, that they don't want to see links. But what we can do is have it so that everyone can post links. But if you post a link and you have more than 15,000 Leo power, then your link will still show through the UI, even if the user has hide threads including links from anyone that doesn't have that much Leo power. So it's almost like now you're given the ability to get more exposure for your threads if you have more Leo power. So there's a lot of ideas around that. Another idea I've thrown out there is that you'll be able to do like stake weighted polls, and you'll be able to do, so one would be like stake weighted polls. Another one would be, if you like a gatekeeping on polls, like if you want to vote on my poll, there's going to be like a filtering section that I can choose. And I can say you have to have more than 1,000 Leo power to vote on my poll. And if you do and you vote, then your vote gets cast and counts towards the results. So yeah, I think we're headed towards this kind of a similar vision that Elon has, but instead of charging you guys, $8 a month to have, check marks and stuff, it's all going to be centered around how much Leo power you have. So, you have more Leo power, you get access to more features. Another idea I have is around theme packs. I think I talked about this actually like over a year ago. On the old UI, is something I wanted to do was that you could have a theme pack. So let's say that you're like a leader of the pack. You could have there's like a special leader of the pack theme that you can put on your UI. So it's like a special color with maybe a special background and stuff like that. So a lot of like really cool little features. But when you add them up and you imagine that there's like a set of 100 features that are only available to, certain roles. Once you achieve those roles, you get those features. I think that is super cool. Also like an orange check mark if you have, for example, like let's say that you pass like 50,000 Leo power, you can get like an orange check mark next to your name. So it's just a quick visual way for people to know, oh, this guy has more than 50,000 Leo power, must be a pretty active and engaged member of the Leo society. So tons of ideas around that. And that, you kind of see an early version of all of this stuff, kind of this whole new renewed vision around how important it is to have Leo power in terms of like the social nature of the LeoVerse. And then also, from features, a little teaser is that if you hover over people's usernames, as of the last, like 2 weeks, it'll tell you what role they have in the community. So like if you have under 1,000 Leo power, you're a newborn cub. And we've got all the other roles, lion, and leader of the pack, cub. So bunch of roles out there. And now if you hover over people, that you see like a cool little picture. Like I'm hovered over Nifty, and I see he's got 44,000 Leo power, and that he's got the lion role. So
working towards that apex lion.
Yeah, man.
Apex lion.
Cal, so
Soon.
speaking of features and whatnot, Random had a question basically, and I didn't really notice it until he had asked about how do we rethread. So like case in point, long form post, like I post that recap, and he was like, how do I rethread this? And I was like, good question, because I don't see that option yet on the bottom of the post. So when it comes to the long form, because I never would even think about like rethreading in terms of threads itself. Doesn't even seem, I don't know, like something I would use with the short form.
I just don't see the need for that. I don't know. Maybe
it might not be any
need.
need.
I don't know.
Because
what do you guys think?
What that really does, what does it do at the end of the day? If you go to someone's profile, you see, their blog post and anything they might rethread. So I'm not a huge rethreader, aka just kind of rehiving, so to speak. I didn't do it a ton on Hive, so but it is a feature.
Are you talking long form or short form?
I'm talking long form.
So you're talking about long form. Oh, you mean like reblogging?
Yeah, reblog. Called a rethread now, I guess. Yeah. So for the long form.
Yeah, reblogs are something that they're not on the new UI yet. I think we are still going to put them there just to kind of be in line with the rest of Hive, kind of keep that experience similar. But yeah, I think Nifty was getting at that I don't really see a huge value in reblogging. I've been pretty outspoken against the whole the way that other UIs separate posts from blog. Like if you look at some like Peak is a good example. Like they've got a blog feed and then an all posts feed.
Yeah.
And if you're on the blog feed, it'll show you everything that it actually won't show you your own posts unless you've reblogged them onto that feed. And then if you click all posts, it'll show you all of your posts, but not the stuff you've reblogged. And to me, it's just like it's a UX issue. Like I just don't see why that would be useful in terms of the experience.
All right, so let's step back from the long form and think about just threads themselves. Because obviously on Twitter, you can retweet things left and right. So are we going to be able to rethread, or are we thinking that feature is not worth having?
So I think
it's up for discussion and maybe even up for a poll.
Yeah. So here's a cool feature that I have in mind, and it ties. It's awesome that this question comes after what we just talked about with Task. There is an idea out there, and Nanzo just put it out there too, where he said there is value in reblogging / rethreading. It's called spamming. So I can foresee that a lot of people would use you can see that this happened already with links that we started getting a lot. Something about the Hive culture has to do with kind of like, there's like this whole spammy vibe to it. And the reason why is because the more stuff you put out there that can get upvoted, the idea is that you'll get more upvotes and make more money. So there's kind of like this negative financial incentive there, where it kind of incentivizes people to spam. One idea I have is that rethreading would be one of those features that is basically paywall locked behind Leo Power. So if you have over 1,000 Leo Power, you can rethread. Reblogging will just be
Higher
reblogging.
threshold.
Yeah, exactly. A threshold.
Higher than 1,000.
Higher threshold. Yeah. I mean, it could be 5,000 or whatever. And obviously, as the Leo price moves, we might have to reconsider a lot of roles and thresholds. I mean,
That's true.
Leo price at $1, you don't want to have gatekeeping on features with 15,000 Leo power, Yeah, there's a lot of ideas around basically like paywalling some of these features behind instead of a blue check mark, it's like a role check mark.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Where you take more Leo, get more features.
You have people, if you hold Leo Power, I mean, generally it means you're engaged in the community and, you're not there just to spam. And, like me personally, like, I don't even use Twitter a lot, but when I do, like, I will retweet things, not often, but things I think are of value that I want to share out to people that follow me, especially like tweets from LeoFinance, as I try and spread that knowledge. So I think, I don't think it's just straight spam. I think there is a use for it, but the problem is it's not, whatever. To use a bad analogy, the gun's not the problem. It's people with guns is the problem, So I don't think retweeting is a problem or rethreading is a problem. It's the people with the rethreading. So the threshold might solve that problem because you're weeding out a lot of junk. And yeah, are you going to weed out everything? 100% no. But you're going to weed out a lot of, like, quote unquote, the bottom feeders. So that'll get rid of a lot of that spam.
Yeah, because if you give everybody the ability to rethread a thread, it's just going to be a rethread fest. It's there's not going to be much new content, and yeah, I think putting it behind a Leo Power wall is a good way to do it for sure. Just like links.
Yep.
And it all goes back to what we've been discussing for a while now. The fact that we can use Leo Power as standard to give users certain perks or certain abilities on top of the other users. For example, if you want to be able to reblog anything, you might have to power up, let's just say 2,000 Leo. And that actually gives the Leo token more use cases.
Yep.
Yeah, and along those lines, Cal, could we do it on the other side? Because you talk about access in terms of people having the ability to do stuff. What about the flip side of the ability to block stuff? So can I set my account, for example, to not show rethreads? Can I set my account kind of like you did with, okay, don't show any threads with links? Well, if you start to break it down and say, okay, we'll create a whitelist, we'll give the capability of, okay, if somebody's over a certain amount of Leo power. So I think you have the constant, okay, we're going to provide access to people or limit the access, but how about looking at the flip side, providing users with more filtering or blocking techniques?
Yeah, so blocking, muting, all of these features are things that we plan to add. And like I was saying earlier, I have this idea for this For You page where you'll be able to set variables. So you'll be able to say, show me links, but only if the person has over, a predefined amount of Leo power, and then you enter how much Leo power. You say like 5,000 Leo power or more, then I want to see links from you. But if you're under that, I don't want to see your links. Additionally, having things like if it has an image, I don't want to see it unless you have more than 5,000 Leo power. And the user will be able to decide all of those filters. And that, this is not something that I would have seen as a problem, when we were thinking about Project Blank. It's more like, oh, well, Twitter just is Twitter. They don't block people for doing this, and this. Well, actually they do, but not for just basic things like posting a link. So, I really see that like this user directed focus around the user's choice of what they want to see and not see is going to be extremely important going forward. We're kind of already, it wasn't a problem when Threads was first released because there just wasn't enough users. But as we've collected more and more monthly active users, we've started to see certain things become a problem, like link spam, which is why we had to add that filter. So I think as things continue to progress and we see more people using the UI, we're going to come up with more intelligent features to filter out stuff that the user doesn't want to see. But I think the end state, like the end goal in mind, is a user has a For You page and they can click variables and set what variables they want. And it's very easy and they can constantly change it and tweak it. And it's kind of cool. And I think this is probably how we're going to end up marketing it when it is available. It's basically like a build your own algorithm. People always talk about how they hate the algorithms on social media, and you start watching a video about a cat and suddenly every video is about a cat. And then you see Mitch talking about Bitcoin. That
would be awesome, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think having like a build your own algorithm is going to be like a huge marketing point that we can make, and I definitely want to push that out there. And I think it'll solve all of these problems. And like I said, I think having that extra layer of like, I do want to filter out links, but I still want to see some links when they're high quality. So let me just filter them out if people don't have a certain amount of Leo power. I think that's really cool.
Just to answer Beehiver's question on YouTube, as far as he said, what's the URL for the long form content right now? The answer is it's the current new URL, except for the blog link in your profile will not be live till Friday. And then I think Cal said at some point there might be like a legacy LeoFinance URL, kind of for that old UI look.
Yeah, and one issue that we have right now is, like I was saying, hopefully we'll have that fixed out in the next couple of hours, definitely by the end of today. The way that long form content is formatted, the URL wise, is different than the old UI. So you'll see like this is, I just posted a link in Discord. This is what the links look like for long form right now. And you'll see that it's got /post/view, and then it's missing the @ sign. So if basically if you click the second link I posted, it won't work, which is how links used to be on the UI. And if you click the first link, that's how long form is formatted right now. So we're definitely gonna update that and fix it.
Cool deal.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys wanna wrap soon, are there any closing questions you see?
I'm sure some stuff slipped through the cracks, but for the most part, I
Cal,
got
YouTube
taken care of.
There's some things I think in the Threadcast, Cal, that you might want to just skim through and see if there's anything you can touch upon.
Yeah, let me I can do that. And then if there's any other questions in there, I can just answer them through threads later.
Yeah,
once we jump off.
I
Let's see
haven't
what we
followed the
got.
Threadcast so much for questions, really just Discord and YouTube. Samad, yeah, every Friday is when the new features for the week are pushed to production. Still staying with that.
The
play.
keyword was dropped if you scroll up in the Discord.
Yes, the keyword was dropped. I don't know, good half hour ago, if not longer, 40 minutes ago. But
You gotta watch the recording to get the keyword.
wow. We did plan on dropping it twice, and it's been shared in Discord several times. So the keyword is mainstream.
Mainstream.
Keyword
is what Threads is going to be a year
Where
from
we
now.
are headed.
Exactly. Yeah, the live we're being live streamed on YouTube, so therefore you'll be able to go back and watch it on YouTube.
Taskmaster said Threadcasts are becoming a centerpiece for Leo Threads. These are a must for all Hive related broadcasts. Absolutely. I think we should spread the word. If you know anybody that does a Hive podcast, tell them to start doing Threadcasts. I think it's I really like them. I love jumping through. I've been responding to some of you guys already while we've been talking. I'm scrolling through. We have 100 replies to the Threadcast.
Nice.
Steven asked, wait, is a Threadcast like a Thread Storm? Threadcast, So a thread storm would be like if you solo like created 10 threads and replied to each other and created like a thread, a thread of threads. One day maybe we'll come up with better terminology, but a threadcast is basically like a live comment stream during a live like podcast like this. So like you guys reply underneath my original thread, and then we can see all the replies in one place and answer questions live on air and reply to each other.
It's like live tweeting on Twitter.
Exactly, like live tweeting. Doing it live. Eric said someone tell Cal to get some sleep after this. What else do we got? Does the replies count for the 100 threads or just the thread created from zero? I don't think I understand that one.
They all count.
The which one?
They all count, right? Even replies.
Oh, for the 100 threads for the Zeely campaign. Okay, yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah, they all count. Yeah, any thread you create counts. So I think, isn't the top quest like 3,000 threads?
Yeah, so if you really, really want to grind threads, you're gonna have to send around 100 threads per day, something like that. So you not only need to send top level threads, but you can also just reply to everyone, which is actually better if you ask me, because like you don't want to be talking to the wall, you want to talk to other people. So the best way to reach a certain amount of threads per day is just to reply to anyone who catches your eye.
100%.
And by the way, one thing I just want to tell people, 100 threads a day is not difficult. It seems like a big number, but you look at what people do on Twitter, and even Hivians, the number of comments they do on Twitter or the number of comments they do in Discord. So as Eric was saying, I mean, if you just respond to all the comments in your threads, I mean, if you do a fair amount of threads, you'll have 50, 60 right there alone.
Just say GM to everyone that's saying GM, and there you go. You got 100 threads right there.
Yep. There you go.
Speaking of requirements, I saw something that Morty said earlier that I kind of agree with, but I mean, Eric, he mentioned that please remove Telegram as a requirement for the Zeely campaign. And I so agree with that statement. Telegram is the worst.
I know, but you know what? I mean, if people really hate Telegram, they can just join the announcement channel and then claim the quest. And if they don't like Telegram, they can just delete the app.
There you go. Be done with it.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
some people, hey, listen, I know some people like Telegram. I'm personally in the non-Telegram boat.
Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of quests that people don't like or don't want to engage with, but in the end, any Web3 project needs Web2 platforms to grow, and so yeah, I mean, we need as many channels to grow LeoFinance, and if it's not your I don't know the word, but if you don't like something, yeah. So if you don't like it, just you can either not do it or just do it and then be done with it. But
exactly,
we need to gatekeep certain things, because otherwise we would get 10,000 spammers.
Oh yeah,
not actual users,
Yeah. No, and I mean, it's a way to essentially validate users, so to speak, and like you said, you need Web 2, and I'm going to add for now, but like the next decade, until Web 3 becomes ubiquitous, and Web 2 is this thing that used to exist back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 99% of the Web3 projects use Twitter to promote everything, and that's just hilarious and ironic. But in the end, it's the only way to reach the masses, to go where the audience it's already there. It is already in. So sucks, but it's the truth.
100%.
If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty much caught up on the Threadcast. I might jump in and answer some of these. Some of these are a little bit longer, so I may jump in and answer them. So if you still have questions and you want them answered, just jump into the Threadcast, leave a reply there, and I will be answering on threads. I got to get my 100 threads a day too. So
for those who stayed until the end, once the recording is done, I will drop 5 questions, written questions, and the first person who replies to each of the questions will get 100 Leo each. So stick around.
500 Leo giveaway. Stick around and chat.
There you go.
Sweet.
All
Well,
right.
I'm gonna jump off and fix this long form URL issue.
I love it. Speaking of, I just dropped the link to the long form post recap because that's the only way you can basically find it.
Upvote the cat.
Do the long scroll.
Upvote the cat.
Awesome stuff. Awesome attendance.
Yeah, I mean, probably record attendance for anything we've ever done.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean,
love to see
a lot of new faces. So, you know, welcome to the, as Bruce Willis once said in a Christmas movie, welcome to the party, pal. And good to see all the new blood and all the veteran Lions in the mix. So let's do our best over the next 24 hours to break the new UI and make Cal and the devs' life miserable.
Do it.
Break it.
Good luck.
Break it.
Good luck. Thanks for
just for the record, I think we hit 64 users at the same time listening right now on Discord, plus the YouTube and the other places. So yeah, it was amazing.
It's huge.
Hell yeah.
It's huge. All right. Thanks, Nifty, Task, Mitch, Eric. Appreciate you guys jumping on for the launch party. Thanks, everybody, for coming. All 64 of you in Discord and everyone beyond on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We will see you guys. Are we still doing an AMA tomorrow, Mitch?
I assumed that we were not. I was asked that question and I said no. So
okay,
we will see everyone next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday it is.
Yes, next Tuesday.
Happy launch day, guys.
Give us a nice week.
Day.
A week in review, first week of the new UI. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of chat about. So yes, me and Cal will see everyone live May 9th, roughly 12 p.m. Eastern.
See you then.
Yeah.
Go thread.
Go thread.
Get your thread on.
Get to it.
Peace out. Stick around for the 500 Leo.
There you go. All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Later, everybody.
See you guys.